Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary investor. And today I have a special guest on my channel. Can you please introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are?
Hi, everyone. My name is Janay Harden. I am an author. I write young adult fictional novels, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, what inspired you to start writing?
So I've been writing since I was a kid. I know that's like everybody's favorite answer, but I really have been writing since I was a kid. I've been reading since I was a kid. But of course, when COVID hit, like that's when I finally had the opportunity to sit down and like write something. So actually inspiring me to write. I've been a social worker now and a therapist for about 10 years. So I've had the opportunity to really learn about just people and their stories and, mental health issues and how that all kind of ties together. So really, the books that I write, I feel like they write themselves because they're all, kind of centered around Black families experiencing mental health issues and everything that comes with that. So, so I'm inspired by just the lives of, us and Black people and how that looks in a fictional story.
How long have you been writing?
So I've been writing now for about 2 years, like actually writing and publishing. It's been about like 2 years.
Okay. What, in your opinion, are the most important elements of good writing?
The elements of good writing, that's a good question. I would say a strong plot. I love, a strong plot and something that kind of pulls you in right from the beginning. And I also I'm one of those people who like the ending doesn't have to be packaged up all nice and pretty and, finishing, with the book. I like cliffhangers. I like, things that leave you to be able to just, you're thinking about it days and sometimes weeks after you finish the book. So those are my types of books.
Okay. And what comes first, the plot or the characters?
When I'm like creating the book and like thinking about all those things, the characters come first for me. So I'm just thinking about a character and, like what would make this character unique or like what kind of story would I like to tell with them? And then I try to build the plot around them. So for me, the characters always come first.
Okay. Now, how do you develop the plot?
I am a full plotter. Like I know some people pants it when they write and they just sit down and they just write everything out. And actually I did that with my first book, Hey Brown Girl. I just pants the whole thing. Like I literally sat at my computer like a mad woman. I was just like typing. And the story did flow to me, but I felt like I had to do so much more editing and so many more corrections and so much back and forth with my editor. And it felt like, it was like writing open heart surgery. Like it was like so in depth, the editing process. So I said, you know what, with my next books, I want to make sure that I actually try to, sit down and plot it with a strong outline. So with my next 2 books after Hey Brown Girl, that's what I did. I sat down and I really outlined them, to a T. And for me, that's more helpful because when I sit down to write, I know for sure, like, all right, this is what I'm working on today. I'm not worried about anything that comes after this or even before this. Like I already know this is my section right now that I'm working on, and that's all I have to focus on.
How do you come up with your characters in your book?
So I start with mental health. Because like I said, I'm a therapist, so it's like always on my mind, but I always start with like, what aspect of mental health do I want to tell? Like, do I want to tell a story about depression? Do I want to tell a story about, anxiety and someone's nervous all the time? Do I got a nervous Nelly? Like, what does that look like? Do I want to tell a story of, someone with bipolar disorder? It's always, I always start with the mental health aspect of it and, what story I want to tell based on that. And then I kind of build around it. So that's how I think it all comes about. It's always kind of starting with, with mental health.
Okay. Now tell us about your 3 books.
Okay, my babies. So this is the first one. This is my first published novel. This is Hey Brown Girl. And so for this one, it starts with Raven. She's 17 years old. She's very carefree, but she's also very nervous. She has a lot of anxiety, struggles with, self-esteem issues. So she pretty much lives like, the perfect life, and everything flows pretty good for her and her family. She lives with her parents. But eventually her younger cousin moves in. Her younger cousin is Carter. He moves into the home after he's taken away by Child Protective Services. So the Hey Brown girl goes through after he moves into her house, and he's, traumatized. He's going through a lot of things. And, he kind of turns their household upside down. So Hey Brown girl goes through how the family rebuilds themselves after he moves back in. And after they rebuild themselves, they're so much more stronger because of him moving in and kind of, showing the family parts of themselves that they were, sweeping under the rug a little bit. So it's very much a heartfelt coming of age novel. And then this is 42 minutes. So this is the first book in the Indigo Lewis series. And then this is Someone More Like Myself. This is the second book in the Indigo Lewis series. And I do have the third book probably coming out late 2022 in the series as well. But for this one, so this opens up with our main character. Her name is Indigo. She's also a high school student. For her, she's dealing with a lot of societal issues, collective issues. So there's a lot of poverty issues in her household. There's mental health struggles in her household that they don't even really know about yet. So it kind of unfolds through the story. There's a lot of patriarchy issues with males that she's dealing with, and classmates that try to like rule over her and bully her in some ways. And there's a lot of just racial tensions, in the book, in her neighborhood, in her school. So it actually opens with the murder. So this is 42 minutes is a murder mystery. It's a thriller. It's more of a suspense type of novel. So, and it's totally different from Hey Brown Girl too. But with her, yeah, we open with Indigo. She ends up killing one of her classmates. So that's in the first prologue. So it kind of just shows that immediately. So then the book backtracks over the past 6 months of her life, and it unfolds with like what led her up to this murder. So that's when we get to see all of these different, societal issues, the racism, the mental health unfolds, and all of that. So I like 42 minutes and Someone More Like Myself because Indigo, she's a teenage serial killer, really, and she's dealing with all of these things. But, in some aspects, like, murder is wrong, of course, and, the things that she's doing is wrong, but like, it's like, you still want to root for her, you still want her to like be okay. And, people are like kind of messing with her, and you're like, get them, Indigo. And so you definitely, she's the character you don't know if you should like, if you shouldn't like, but I think ultimately in the end, you kind of, find something in her story to root for her. So I really enjoy writing those two characters. Those two books and Indigo's story. And I like how it's different from Hey Brown Girl, but it's still in the, mental health field and in the young adult field. So those are my book babies.
Okay. Can you read an excerpt from Hey Brown Girl?
Sure. So, okay, I'm going to read from, this is Hey Brown Girl. It is, let me see, page 57. And this will be when that's 42, when Raven's cousin finally moves into the home and things start to really take a shift. Okay. All right. Mr. and Mrs. Jameson, the woman didn't look up from her clipboard when addressing them. Khalil and Blair nodded their heads. I'm Miss Cotman from DCFS, she said, popping gum in her mouth. Miss Cochina Jameson listed you as the first placement choice for Carter. Excuse me? Let me start over. I apologize. The state of Louisiana has taken custody of Mr. Carter Jameson here because of concerns of Miss Jameson's parenting abilities. We asked if she had any biological family that Carter could stay with, and if not, he would have to be placed in foster care. She indicated that you could take him in. I apologize that I could not call. We had some issues getting Carter out of the home and I lost my cell phone. Ms. Cotman continued looking at her clipboard and popped gum in her mouth. Khalil noticed the police officers standing behind Ms. Cotman, his own colleagues. So are you able to take him? Yes, of course. Blair nodded and stepped out from beyond the kitchen. She tightened her robe around her waist. Khalil stood frozen in silence. Of course, Carter, come in here, honey. Blair stepped from the shadows. Carter shuffled into the house with a grimace on his face, dragging in his trash bags. Raven stood motionless at the top of the steps, watching this encounter unfold in front of her. It all happened so fast, and she wanted to scream. I'll bring the rest of his things tomorrow, and I'll be back to discuss the details, housing requirements, and answer any questions that you may have. Ms. Cotman handed Khalil a yellow piece of paper. He read the paper, already knowing what it said. He was familiar with DCFS forms. He had helped serve this kind of paper many times at the station. He looked behind Ms. Cotman at the officers. They nodded their head at Khalil out of respect before they turned away and escorted Ms. Cotman to her car. The officers and Ms. Cotman shared a laugh at something only they heard. Khalil's jaw tightened. All hell had broke loose in one day.
Wow. Wow. Okay, what has been the most difficult part of writing for you?
Editing is the worst.
Yes.
Oh, it's the worst. I hate it. It's the worst. It really is. When I'm in flow and when I'm writing and when I'm actually putting the story together and formulating it and getting it down on paper, like that is easy for me. I don't know why, it just is. But when it comes time to send it to an editor and they come back with corrections and it's all marked up and it's red and it's stuff everywhere and it's 10 plus pages of corrections and stuff, like I'm like, oh my goodness. But working my way through those corrections, it always strengthens my story so much. So, I try to go in with that goal, like, make sure, making these corrections and really not taking certain things personal and knowing that, this is going to make my story stronger in the end. But, as I'm doing it, I'm like, so.
Oh my goodness. Okay. What has been your greatest accomplishment thus far in your literary career?
You know what? This might sound corny, and it probably is, but for me, it's the fact that I'm just getting started. The fact that, yes, I have 3 books out, but I still totally feel like a newbie. And I still feel like, I have so much more to go, so many more stories to tell, so many more book covers to create and people to, do different interviews with and, network with and meet. And the fact that me being able to write is also like a version of therapy for me. And, just getting these stories out is so therapeutic for me in a way. So definitely the fact that, I'm just getting started and I'm excited to see, what I come up with in the future.
What is your role in the literary industry?
My role. I believe I'm a storyteller for teenagers. I totally see myself always writing young adult novels. My career, actually, being a therapist and a social worker has been based for the most part with, children and families and teenagers. So I feel like I have a really good handle on, telling their stories and being a voice for them. So I will always try to continue to be a voice for them and just tell their stories creatively and in different ways that make them excited to get back to reading.
Yes. Now, to your 3 babies, do you have a favorite?
I do. My favorite is 42 minutes. I do. This one's my favorite. But people love Hey Brown Girl. Oh, they love it. And they're all good stories, of course. But I'm totally biased, but they're all good stories. But yeah, for my favorite, it's definitely 42 minutes.
Okay. What has been the most surprising thing you discovered while writing your books?
That's a good question. I think I think maybe the fact that, I do these type of interviews and, I get to go out and meet people and, like I said, network, because I'm very much an introvert. And I know that's a buzzword too. Everybody says that, but like I really almost wanted to, write books and kind of just be to myself and not really like market it and talk about them and all those things. But I have a really strong team behind me that's like, no, like you're going to get out, you're going to do these interviews, you're going to speak in front of people, you're going to talk about your books. And I think doing that has made me a stronger writer. So right now I'm getting into the habit and the feels of, calling myself a writer and calling myself an author and actually standing in that energy.
Oh, wow. Who is your favorite character
In my books?
in your books?
Carter and Hey Brown Girl. Yeah, Carter and Hey Brown Girl. He's the one, Child Protective Services took him away. So yeah, he moved in with his big cousin Raven and her family. But in Hey Brown Girl, it shows just a lot of the trauma that he went through. And now
Mhm.
he's on the other side of it. And he's living in this household with his cousin. And they're, not toxic, and it's not drama, and it's not any of those things. So it shows him coming from a traumatic environment and now living with them. And he's like, y'all eat dinner every night and I go to school every day. And like, it's like a whole new world for him. So it kind of shows him, how he steps into that new, transition in his life and how he blossoms.
Okay. Okay. Can you read an excerpt from 42 Minutes?
Okay. All right. So this, I'm going to read from the prologue. So like I said, in this one, Indigo has already killed her classmate. That happens right in the beginning, right in the prologue. We don't know why. We don't know what happened. It just opens up immediately with the murder. So we'll jump into a little of that. It was Friday morning and Tunica Rivers was still quiet. Nothing stirred outside, and I cleaned up a murder inside. Who was this person I had turned into? I was in a car accident when I was younger. Mama Jackie was T-boned by someone who missed the stop sign. It stopped traffic for miles and miles. Cars were backed up and honking at each other. I remember thinking, if people just kept driving, there wouldn't be a jam. But everyone crept by us, slowing to see the damage and revel at their luck and our misfortune. They couldn't help but stop to steal a peek. Did anybody die? Was it anybody they knew? Maybe I was the only one who had thoughts like that, I guess. Jackson was my car accident, and this accident was that bad. Mr. Dennis asked me to lock up when I finished for the day and trusted me with the keys. I had cremated dozens of bodies to prepare for services, but never anyone I knew, and never by my own hands. I killed Jackson. I killed nothing in my life, not even a bug. But Jackson was important. Somewhere in my body, I felt nervous, but not the bad nervous that makes you question yourself and everything around you. The good nervous when something happens and you're pleased by the thought of a potential outcome. I would never say it out loud. I would dare not speak it, but listening to Jackson's cries and watching his hand bang against the small incinerator window added extra pep to my step. My heart jumped with amazement. I don't care what I allowed him to do in the past. Today was a new day. My future was bright, just like the flames that illuminated Jackson. Girls are expected to be dainty, feminine, sugar, spice, and everything nice. Fuck that shit. Respect me or be destroyed.
So what was your inspiration behind this story?
So have you ever heard of a show called Dexter?
Yes.
Okay, so in my mind, I really envision like a female version of Dexter, because he walks around and we know that, he's got some mental health issues and he be talking to himself and he kind of, looks at himself as almost like a Robin Hood, like, righting the wrongs and, taking out bad people. So I wanted to almost do like a female version of that, but then I'm like, well, let's do a high school version of that, let's do a Black girl version of that. And let's, make her have, some mental health issues and struggle with that aspects too. So so that's how the story really unfolded a little bit. it. I definitely am a fan of Dexter. So it gave me the idea for 42 minutes and for the entire series.
How did you come up with 42 minutes?
So Indigo, actually her part-time job, and it's really weird, but she was working these little odd jobs, but she ended up working at a funeral home. So she would help prepare like bodies for services and help with like the cremation process and stuff. And again, she's dealing with a lot of like poverty issues anyway. And she specifically took this job because, it paid a lot of money, at least to her. So she was like, this will be really great for me. I need the money anyway. I'm getting ready for college. So she took on, kind of this morbid job. And while she was there, a lot of things took place with the classmate and, 42 minutes, it's called 42 minutes because that's how long it took for his body to burn as she killed him. Yeah.
Yes. What do you want readers to take away from your books?
I want them to feel comfortable having conversations about mental health. And even like I said, Hey Brown Girl it's a feel-good novel, it's a coming of age novel. And I think it leaves you with all the feels, whereas 42 minutes and Someone More Like Myself, those two don't really leave you with the feel good. And you're kind of like, oh, like she killed somebody, she did this, she did that. But like I said, you still kind of want to root for her. So I want people to be able to, have those conversations and know that sometimes mental health isn't always pretty. And sometimes, it's not always, something that, can be fixed or something that, people can just kind of like one day, pack up and, oh, that's fine. And, everything's better with that situation. Like sometimes it really does take some, getting down to the nitty gritty and, peeling back layers of you to, get to a healthier place. So through the Indigo Lewis series, we're going to see that. We're going to see Indigo go through a lot of very low lows as she figures herself out and gets on the other side of her healing journey.
So what are you currently working on right now?
A few things. The next installment in the Indigo Lewis series, that one will come out probably in late 2022. And I got a few more Hey Brown Girl books that are coming as well. People are like, dying for this story to be told again. So I'm working on those. And just in my mind, whenever I get an idea for something, I'm writing it down, I'm starting to plot it. I have like 10 different books going in different stages and different outlines and stuff. So just continuing to tell teenagers stories of Black love, life, friendships, mental health, and all the things in between.
So how can we find you in your books?
I am on Instagram at author Janay, AuthorJanay, author Janay. I'm also on TikTok as author Janay. I post a bunch of really crazy videos about like my writing and the process and everything. My website is www.naywrites.com. It's NAYWRITES.com. And my books are also on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere that books are sold. That I believe that's where we can find them at. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
I'm grateful that we got to do this interview, and I hope that your audience is able to read my books, take something from them, and we can just introduce my work to a larger audience, and they kind of see that hey, she writes about mental health, and she writes about teens, and they really find something in my books that they're able to just share out with others. So thank you for having me.
Okay. But before you go, I'd like to ask some questions about Janay.
Okay.
Okay. Who is your favorite author and why?
My favorite author, hands down, this is an easy question. Hands down, it's Eric Jerome Dickey. I always, yes, that is my boo.
That's my boo.
I love him. I always, and I had no business reading his books at the age I was. I think I first picked up a Eric Jerome Dickey book, I was like 12. And so the way he wrote things was always just so beautiful to me. And I remember even as a 12-year-old saying, like, I'm going to write a book that day, someday. And I want my books to, make people feel the way I feel reading his books. And I remember just about 2 years ago or so, I had gotten up the courage and I was going to send him a long email and say, hey, I'm finally starting my writing journey. And, you've been such an inspiration to me. But then he passed away. So I never got to, really tell him what his books did for me. But, he's definitely and continues to be my favorite author.
Mm-hmm. What are you reading right now?
I just finished, and when I say just, I mean about like 2 weeks ago, I just finished The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I have not been able to read anything since that book. That's been about 2 weeks because it's taken me that long to like process what I read. Mm-hmm. It literally took me that long to process. So yeah, that was the last book I read, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Okay, what books is currently on your bedside table?
Let me see. You know what I have in my drawer, in my bedside table? Will Smith's book. And I've been meaning to read it. That is my next book after The 7 Husbands. And especially now with everything that's going on with Will Smith, I'm going to make sure I start it now because I feel like I need answers. I need to know. I need to know.
Make sure you read the audio to go with it.
Okay. I've heard that because he narrates it. So okay.
Yes. Now, what books or authors has most well, we just answered that, but what books or authors have you most influenced your own writing?
You know what? I read a lot of Tiffany D. Jackson, only because I think our writing styles are similar. Yeah. And I know that she tells, stories for, young adults, teenagers, Black stories. So I do take a lot of inspiration from her.
Okay. And what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is, right now, I've been in a sage green mood. Right now. It might change next month, but right now I'm liking sage green.
And what is your favorite snack while writing?
I'm a cookie girl. I'm a cook. I like cookies, soft ones. They got to be those soft ones, and I don't like them like hard, crunchable ones, but like a nice little, yes, a nice little soft cookie, and I will snack and write for hours.
Okay. Now show us your books one more time before we go. The book covers.
So this is my Hey Brown Girl.
I love that cover.
Well, thank you. And this is 42 minutes. Yeah. And then this one is Someone More Like Myself. And
that's the second book in the series.
Yes.
42. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
You're welcome. Again, this is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all. Bye.